The Lost Expedition of 1978, the true story of an Antarctic tragedy. February 3, 1978. 3 individuals vanished without a trace in one of the most enigmatic places on Earth, Franklin Island in Antarctica. Their last transmission, sent over the radio, was abruptly interrupted by a strange whisper that was recorded by monitoring stations worldwide. This is impossible, they're moving," were the final words of Professor Richard Grazel, captured by the International Polar Anomalies Tracking Network. What happened to the expedition? Why did the rescue teams, dispatched 2 days after communication was lost, fail to find a single clue? Only one note, discovered beneath a rock at the base of Ghost Peak, offered a cryptic hint of the truth. "They see us. We cannot stay. Time is moving backward." This story is a journey into the heart of Antarctic mysteries. It tells of 3 individuals who risked everything for the greatest discovery of their lives, a place where the laws of physics lose all meaning, and it reveals that sometimes the truth is better left unknown. Join us as we delve into the events that began on a cold January night in 1978 and continue to haunt researchers to this day. For some of Earth's secrets are perhaps best left unexplored. Franklin Island, one of Antarctica's most mysterious locations. Franklin Island, whose existence was long considered a myth, remains one of the most enigmatic places in Antarctica. Covering just 50 square kilometers, it was only discovered in the early 20th century, but its true nature has remained shrouded in mystery. The first mentions of the island appeared in the journals of polar explorers from the early 1900s. They referred to it as the ice anomaly. Expeditions at the time documented strange phenomena: compasses spinning uncontrollably, sudden temperature fluctuations even under stable weather conditions. Laboratory analyses of rock samples brought back by earlier expeditions revealed minerals with unique properties, a crystalline lattice structure that changes at specific temperatures, unusual reactions to magnetic fields, the ability to conduct an unknown type of energy. The decisive factor for organizing the expedition came in the form of recordings from the Penguin Station in 1976. Radio technicians detected strange signals emanating from the vicinity of Franklin Island. These signals exhibited clear periodicity and bore resemblance to ancient ritualistic formulas uncovered by Professor Grazel during his research. This chilling account combines elements of mystery, science, and the unexplained, an exploration into humanity's encounter with forces beyond comprehension. Thus, on January 12, 1978, the researchers departed from the Chilean Antarctic base Punta Arenas, the southernmost major airport in the world, and the starting point for most polar expeditions. The team had arrived at the base 3 days earlier to conduct final equipment checks and coordinate their route with local meteorologists. The main objectives set before the group were investigating the nature of anomalous phenomena, searching for possible traces of previous visitors to the island, studying unique minerals, documenting all unexplained phenomena using modern equipment. As the Dakota aircraft left the bounds of civilization, 3 individuals aboard were already inextricably linked to the mysteries of the Antarctic ice. Professor Richard Grazel was a legend in the scientific community. His works on polar anomalies read like detective novels, precise descriptions of phenomena that defied the boundaries of modern science. At 52, he retained the youthful enthusiasm of an explorer and a rare ability to discern hidden patterns behind ordinary occurrences. It was his theory of energy matrices of the past that had led them to Franklin Island. James Grazel, the professor's 26-year-old son, was his father's complete opposite. A young photographer with fashionable long hair and round-framed glasses, he saw this expedition as his chance to make a name for himself in the world of journalism. His camera was his faithful companion, and the notebook always tucked into the pocket of his jacket was filled with observations and sketches of every moment of their journey. Martin Holt, their companion, was a legend among polar explorers. The 55-year-old veteran, whose face was etched with wrinkles and hands scarred from thousands of encounters with icy elements, could find his way even in the darkest polar night. His story was well known throughout the scientific community. He was the sole survivor of the 1967 expedition on the Alma Peninsula, though he never spoke of what happened there. Only occasionally, under the influence of alcohol, did he mention the eyes in the snow that had watched them during those weeks. Franklin Island awaited them like an ancient predator lurking beneath the white veil. Only a few brave souls who dared approach its shores whispered its name, a place where time stood still and the laws of nature played by their own rules. Old maps marked it as the ice anomaly. Sailors said that compasses lost their minds here and night could last an eternity. This island, covering just 50 square kilometers, had a reputation as one of the most mysterious places on the planet. Monitoring stations recorded abnormally high radiation levels in the area, inexplicable fluctuations in temperature and pressure, and strange electromagnetic surges that could not be linked to any known natural phenomena. When the engines of the Dakota fell silent over the chosen landing site, the three travelers knew one thing. They were stepping into a territory where the rules of conventional science might only partially apply. But none of them could have imagined how right Professor Grazel was when he said before departure, "We are not just going to explore the island. We are opening a new chapter in understanding our world." The first 2 days were dedicated to carefully setting up the camp. Professor Grazel personally checked the installation of each tent. "This section of ice has small cracks. Let's add extra reinforcements," he instructed Martin. James was creating a detailed map of the surroundings, taking hundreds of photographs for later analysis. His camera worked almost non-stop. "We need to document every detail," he muttered to himself, carefully examining every meter of the terrain through the lens. Meanwhile, Martin was setting up a system of signal markers around the camp. "I remember 1967. Back then, we didn't pay enough attention to landmarks, and we paid the price for it. On the evening of the first day, they spent their time calibrating the equipment. It was then that they noticed the first strange occurrences. Compasses showed small but constant deviations. "It seems the anomaly begins earlier than we thought," the professor noted in his notebook. On the third day, more serious events began. In the morning, they discovered that one of the spare batteries for the radio was missing. "This is impossible!" James exclaimed, pulling out his notebook. "I clearly remember placing it right here before I went on night duty." That same evening, Martin heard a strange sound, like someone scraping metal against metal. The noise was coming from the direction of their food supplies. "No polar predators are interested in metal objects," he said, triple-checking everything with a flashlight in hand, but they found nothing. However, the next morning, one of the thermoses with hot tea was indeed missing. The fourth day began with an unusual phenomenon. During his morning walk, James noticed a strange stone with intricate carvings. "Look over here!" he called to his father and Martin. When they approached, they discovered an entire circle of such stones, about 10 meters in diameter. The professor carefully examined each stone. These symbols resemble ancient Scandinavian runes, but their arrangement is completely unique. And the material? This stone was clearly worked on by human hands, but what tools were used remains a mystery. Martin made an important observation. Notice this. There are no animal or bird tracks anywhere around these stones. Yet just a couple of meters away lies a dead Arctic hare. That same evening, another strange event occurred. James woke up to a soft blue glow emanating from one of the stones. He grabbed his camera and started filming. The film captured the stone pulsating with light, changing intensity every few seconds. "It seems we've encountered something that goes beyond our current science," the professor mused, examining the stones through a magnifying glass. "These stones, they're reacting to something. But to what?" On the fifth day, they discovered an ancient structure partially hidden by snow. It was a small stone construction resembling an entrance to an underground chamber. The professor carefully cleared part of the wall. "These symbols, they're similar to those on the stones, but more complex. And look at this stone. It was clearly processed in a special way." Martin carefully inspected the site. "I saw something similar in 1967. We also found such stones back then, but there they were black." When they attempted to measure the magnetic field near the structure, the compasses began spinning at a crazy speed. The radio equipment emitted a series of strange signals that were impossible to decipher. The morning of the final day began with alarming signs. Professor Grazel was the first to notice the strange phenomenon. "My watch is running incorrectly," he said, checking his chronometer. "Over the past 12 hours, It's shown a difference of half an hour. James, taking another series of photographs of ice formations, suddenly froze.
Look at these cracks. They seem to be changing shape right now.
Martin, standing at the edge of the stone circle, turned to them with a pale face.
I remember this feeling. It's as if the air itself is becoming denser. It's getting harder to breathe.
By lunchtime, the situation had grown even more tense. James noticed that his camera was behaving strangely. The lens, it's as if it's seeing something that isn't there. Strange light effects are appearing on the film. The professor took out a special anomaly detector. The readings are becoming increasingly unstable. It seems we've entered the center of some kind of energy matrix. In the middle of the day, they decided to return to the stone circle for a more thorough investigation. It was there that James discovered a note wedged between two stones.
They're moving. Impossible. Time,
were the first words, barely legible from age. The professor carefully unfolded the paper as if afraid of damaging this relic. It's written in the hand of the 1923 expedition captain. But how? The paper should have long since disintegrated. Further in the note it read, "If you're reading this, it means we're already..." The rest had been erased by time, but the last line remained clearly visible. "Run, while there's still time." These words, they're exactly the same as in the diary of the 1923 expedition, the professor mused. But why is it here? Why has it survived? By evening, the situation began to spiral out of control. When they returned to the ancient structure, the compasses started spinning so fast that it became impossible to determine direction. "Something is approaching," Martin whispered, pointing toward the horizon. Strange light phenomena appeared in the air, bands of light changing color and shape every few seconds. The professor took out a special anomaly detector. It's impossible. The readings are off the charts. The instruments are detecting energy levels that simply shouldn't exist." Suddenly, the space around them began to distort. James managed to take one last photograph before the world around them began to change in ways that defied the laws of physics. The lines of reality blurred, time seemed to reverse, and space began to contract. Equipment failed one by one. The radio emitted nothing but static, the compasses shattered, and the temperature began to rise despite the laws of the Antarctic winter. The last thing they remembered was strange, luminous figures emerging from the depths of the structure, and Martin's voice, "It is the same thing that happened in 1967. Then silence fell. James's journal, final entry. They really are moving. Time, it's going backward. Father was right. The laws of physics don't work here. I think we're no longer on Earth." The last minutes were captured by James on his camera film. The final frame shows strange light phenomena surrounding the stone structure. Suddenly, all three found themselves at the epicenter of a powerful energy flash.
It's impossible!
The professor's last words were recorded by the radio station.
"Energy at this level..."
Martin managed to send one final message. "Penguin Base, do you copy? Something is happening here that goes beyond our science. It's impossible to describe in words." The last thing the camera set up by the team recorded were three silhouettes surrounded by a light cocoon that grew denser and denser until it completely engulfed them. 48 hours after communication was lost, a large-scale search operation was launched. The first team arrived at the site 3 days later, but found only the camp in perfect condition, as if it had just been abandoned. "It's impossible," said Major Rodriguez, the leader of the search team. There were no signs of a storm or other dangerous phenomena. They just vanished. Only on the 5th day of the search mission did a young polar explorer, Juan Diaz, notice something strange. "Look at this stone. It seems like something is wedged underneath." Under the stone, they found a note written on paper. The text was partially erased by time, but the surviving lines shocked everyone. "They are moving. Time is wrong. If you're reading this, we're already..." The last line was especially chilling. "Run, while there's still time." Epilogue of the story. Scientists still cannot reach a consensus about what happened. Professor Elizabeth Morrison from the Polar Research Institute offers the following theory. In my opinion, the group encountered a space-time anomaly. Analysis of the rock samples found revealed minerals with unique properties that alter their crystalline structure under certain temperatures. Dr. Robert Chen from the Quantum Research Center suggests, could this be the first evidence of the existence of parallel worlds? The light phenomena captured by James' camera resemble the results of our experiments with quantum portals. Some scientists even speculate about an extraterrestrial origin of the phenomenon. Look at these light effects, says Dr. Sophia Lanes. They resemble technological achievements of civilizations far more advanced than ours. However, most experts agree on one thing: Franklin Island holds secrets that could change our understanding of the fundamental nature of the universe. A year after the expedition's disappearance, an unexplainable event occurred at the Penguin base. The radar station operator detected a strange object emerging from the aurora borealis. It's impossible, reads the duty log of operator Juan Ramirez. The object materialized directly on the radar screen. Its shape resembles a human figure. The next day, a research team discovered a series of fresh footprints on the ice. Most astonishingly, the size of the footprints matched the boots worn by members of the Grayson expedition. This story shows us just how little we still know about our planet, says modern researcher Professor Sophia Lanes. Franklin Island continues to remain a mystery, and perhaps someday we will find answers to our questions. If you enjoyed this story about the mysterious disappearance of the expedition on Franklin Island, please subscribe to our channel, like the video to support us, leave a comment with your version of what happened. Together we might get closer to the truth. Remember, some of Earth's mysteries are better left unsolved. Or are they? Share your thoughts.